Hey folks, today I'm going to talk about link trades, explain what they are, give you an example, and actually give you a trade. Now, one of the cool things about Wealth Press is we've got experts that specialize in just about everything. And one of our experts, Jeff Zananeri, he specializes in link trades. That's really his thing. But we've been getting a lot of questions from my readers about what are link trades, how to take advantage, what's the best time to trade them. So I'm going to give you some answers, give you some examples, and hopefully simplify it for you. But if you guys really want to learn everything you need to know about link trades, Jeff Zananeri's link trade course program alerts is the way to go. So this is not a substitute for it, but this will give you a good idea and a good place to start. How about that? So let's go inside my stock fetcher and we'll start. So the thing about link trades is we want to find a inverse relationship. A good example would be Trump versus Biden. They're like bipolar of each other, but at the same time, they're both running for president. So you want to find a relationship, but at the same time, you want to see polar opposite. Hope that makes sense. So in this case, let's assume that, and here's what I want to do right now. Markets are a little iffy right now. We've got holidays, Fed data slowing down, put the call ratios a little overbought right now. So a link trade is really a good trade when you don't know exactly what the market's going to do, if it's going to go up or down, and you really are looking for volatility, directional volatility. Because if there's no volatility, what's the point of having two trades? They'll be just kind of, yo-yoing. So in this case, you want volatility, and I think we're going to have some volatility. And the cool thing about link trades is you don't have to be right about both sides. You could be right about one side. And usually, in a bullish market, the strongest stocks will jump the highest. In a bear market, the weakest stocks will fall the most. So link trades give us that relative strength correlation automatically because we're looking for the strongest stock versus the weakest stock that are in the same industry. So let me give you a simple example of how I would find two stocks. So let's look at the NASDAQ 100. We're looking at the cumulative strength index. And let's say that we don't want to deal with the COVID. Let's say we want to deal with industries and sectors that are going to thrive no matter what. And I believe that's going to be semiconductors and 5G and the cloud. Real simple. And to power those, you need chips, semiconductors, and computer power. So let's focus on those two stocks. So very casually, I'll take a look at the stock, and let's see what's the first semiconductor stock that I find here. Qualcomm. We've got a 42.92 average relative strength. It gave us 12.71% just in the last 30 days. It's looking really good, right? And Qualcomm is definitely 5G semiconductors. It's in that ballpark. Now let's reverse everything, and now we're looking at the weakest stocks. So let's see if we could find a weak stock in that same category. And look what we've got here. My, oh my, we don't have to look very far. We've got Intel, and Intel gave us over the last 30 days a negative 2.76%. So while Qualcomm is a positive 12-something%, Intel is a negative 2.76%. And yes, Qualcomm is the leader in chip stocks, and Intel, unfortunately, which was a leader at one point, is now a lagger. And overall, we've seen over the last cumulatively 8.5% negative. But if you look at Qualcomm, you'll see 42.92% positive. So on a cumulative basis, Qualcomm is killing it, and Intel is not. And on a 12.71, and on a relative basis, or on a single basis, look at that, down 2.76 and down 8.5. So there's no question that one is really leading. I mean, I think let's see here. Qualcomm is, 6th strongest, and Intel is 9th weakest. So there's clearly a negative correlation between Intel and Qualcomm right now. So we found that. So let's see how the stocks are doing. Well, if we look at Qualcomm, we will see that Qualcomm, not only is it a strong buy, but it should be trading near all-time highs. Let's see here. Let's see here. Why are we comparing it to something? We don't need to compare it to anything. Just need to look at it on its own. Look at that. It's sitting around all-time highs. It's congesting right now, consolidating. I like this. It's not filling in the gap already for like 2 weeks. This is good. Now, let's check the ATR. Actual or average true range. Very important last piece of this. 10-day, simple moving average smoothing. Let's see, do we have, yeah, I guess that's fine. And the ATR is $4.64 per share. That's the volatility per share. We're going to need to know that in order to do the cumulative spread. So, all right, that's good. Then it's definitely making new highs. Let's look at Intel now. And this thing is, Qualcomm's trading above the 50-day moving average. It's trading above the 200-day moving average. Intel is not. It's trading below the 50-day moving average, and it's trading below the, that's a weekly chart. Oh, that's awful. It's awful. I mean, this is new swing low right here, and it looks like we're right near there. And if you look at the ATR, so as you could see here, one is making lows, and that's Intel. And Qualcomm, you could see that chart actually pretty well here. They're like polar opposites of each other. But Qualcomm, look at that. That's Qualcomm. And that's Intel. This is, here, let me just, I had them backwards here. Here we go. And again, I'm just doing this along with you. We're in it together. I love to say that. So again, look at 6-month Intel. Look at that. From 65 to 46, and Qualcomm, whoop, completely opposite. Look at the picture. It's like polar opposite, right? One is a strong buy, one is a strong sell. So Intel went from 65 to 46 in the last 6 months, and Qualcomm went from 80 to 144. Now, Intel, let's go back to Intel. Now we need to know for every share of Qualcomm that we buy, how many shares we sell of Intel, right? So again, we look at the ATR. ATR is going to give us our range, our daily range. Don't forget, that's very, very important, because this way we can figure out, that's not it. This way we could figure out how many shares to buy versus how many shares to sell. Let's see here. There we go, average true range. So Intel is $1.05, and Qualcomm, it's like $4.75, was it? So it's like for every share of Qualcomm you buy, yeah, $4.50. So here's how I would do. I would just do 4, because 4.05, so that would be 420 versus 460, close enough. Here's what you want to do. If you're going to do the spread, for every share that you buy of Qualcomm, you're going to need to sell 4.2 shares of Intel. So if you're going to buy 100 shares of Qualcomm, you're going to need to sell 420 shares of Intel in order for the volatility to be equal. Otherwise, you're going to be lopsided. You're going to get like $1 move from Intel and $4 move from Qualcomm. Qualcomm is a lot more expensive. It's a $146 stock, and it's got 4 to 5 times the volatility. So again, we're buying Qualcomm, we're selling Intel. We looked at relative strength, we looked at our CSI scan, we looked at the chart, and we're trying to stay away from an industry that's not as sensitive to the political cycle or to COVID. And semiconductors are a perfect industry or sector for that. So we're going long Qualcomm and we're going short Intel. And for every share that we buy of Qualcomm, we want to sell between 4 and 5 shares of Intel. I hope that helps. And again, this is just a very, very generalized exercise. If you guys want a real specialized view on this and a service, Jeff Zananeri's the guy to do it. I'm just kind of giving you guys a little taste of what linked stocks are all about. And I hope that helps. Folks, did you know that you could turn $5.1 million into over $700 million using a little known market quirk? That's right. And that you can use the same strategy whether you've got $5,000, even less, or $500,000 in it. Well, folks, you better believe it. It's called Moneylink Strategy. And it's based on a mathematical fact with 96% certainty. Take the Apple versus BlackBerry link, for example. As BlackBerry declined, Apple stock soared. But how do you find these links? Glad you asked. Link stock expert Jeff Zananeri is finally ready to reveal the strategy with everyday folks just like you and me. Click on the link below to discover the linked stock strategy and start multiplying your cash today.